What's up, everybody? How you doing? It's Mike Watson, and this is Chat and Draw. Now, what do you mean? You don't know what this show is? You don't know who I am? Well, let me explain it to you real quick, real fast. I'll do it this one time. All right, so I'm the founder of Freestyle Comics, the publisher of Short Fuse Media Group, one half of the good, the bad, and the nerdy, the most enthusiastic person in comics, aka going by the moniker the Super Mad Brother, your host today and every day on Chat and Draw. And Chat and Draw is a show where I sit down with a fellow creative. I draw their character live on my trendy iPad while chatting with them about their comic book. And sometimes a Kickstarter, or maybe a fan that enjoys comics and they're just talking about their favorite character or business. You never know what you're going to get on the show. We're 3 seasons in. We're over 60 episodes. We've got streamings happening live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook across the Short Fuse Media Group Facebook page, which, while we're at things, go check that out. In case you did not hear me, boom. That's the website. I got a bunch of comics on there, along with a bunch of other creatives. We got about 30 different comic book titles. I'm sure there's something there for you. Hit shortfusemediagroup.com to check that out. If you buy the physical copies of the books, we always deliver, and you get the digital copy for free. So a little shameless promotion right there. Actually, yeah, it is shameless because I have no shame in doing that. But today, we got one heck of a guest on the show today. This man is slaying comic books left and right. He's working out every single day. He's kicking Kickstarter's ass right now. Let me introduce and bring up to the table for chatting and drawing. Where's my thing? I'm losing it there.
Here comes a new challenger.
All right, there we go. Fight pose, baby. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Great. This is good to have you on the show. First time being on this show, and I'm excited. I'm getting my hands on your character today. About to dig in on him.
I've been waiting, man. I've been seeing you kill these freaking sketches with all these different creators. I'm waiting for him to do his nana, bro.
Well, today is the day. But let's get all the pleasantries out the way. Let's introduce yourself to everybody. What you got going on today, man?
Yeah, sure. Name is Greg Anderson Elysee. I am the writer, creator of Is Nana the Spider, which is the reason why Michael Watson is interviewing me here today. My stories is based off of the stories from Anansi the Spider, incorporating a lot of Black diaspora stories, mythology, folklore, spirituality, just to try to change up the narrative a little bit, especially given that we are mainly required to be educated on, Greek mythology and European fairy tales. So I want to showcase that we have our own gods and heroes from all our various stories and cultures that we can draw stories from.
Awesome, man. I couldn't say it better myself. That was actually going to be my first question to get everybody happy. Like, why are you doing this story with this character? What was the inspiration for it and whatnot? So you just took care of that. All right, so let me see here what we got. I'm trying to get ready to pull up. So, man, let's talk about this Kickstarter right now. You are owning it over there. Every update I see, man, another $3,000 has been added to it.
I'm happy to hear that, man. I'm hoping, because right now we're at the point where it's starting to slow down just a little bit, but it's like, I'm scratching myself like, I need one more backer.
That's really good. Let's I had Russell on here the other day, and we were talking about Kickstarters. But one thing that we didn't get to touch on, which maybe you can elaborate on for fellow creators, is that pause. That immediate rush that you get at the beginning, and then that middle 2 to 3 weeks in between, that lull that goes down before it picks up. How do you handle that? How do you deal with that?
Well, at this point, it's realizing that it's going to happen, because I feel the excitement that you get within the first few days, within the first week rather, you're pretty much everyone is rushing to help you out. Everyone, they're seeing it on your social media and so on and so forth. But then you reach that plateau that you can't pass, because at this point, about maybe 75% of your people in social media have seen it already, and they've all already jumped on board. There's going to be a couple that may not happen to even see it, but you just got to be lucky to keep on pushing it. And at that point, you just got to find ways to look outside the box. So, okay, so right now social media is not hopping as much as it used to. Is there another venue I can go to? That's where a lot of interviews come into play. Hopefully you can get somebody who does interviews, who does reviews and showcases that have their own sort of following that they can get people to check out your stuff as well, and so on and so forth. It's just trying to, think outside the box in some sense.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So I know you got your goal's 10,000. You've hit that. You're at 15,000. You still got 11 more days to go on this Kickstarter at 449 backers. So I know you got a couple stretch goals with some other creators worked out. One that I'm very excited about, Crescent City Monsters. Right? How'd that come about?
That came about because of my boy Newton, the writer creator of Crescent City Monsters. I've been a fan of it since before. He's actually was a supporter of me for Isnana before Crescent City Monsters came out. Like, he even came out to some cons. We had some talks. We bonded. He was really cool. And I remember when he was showing me pictures of Crescent City, I was like, yo, this book is going to be dope. People are going to know who you are and all that other stuff. So I felt very honored when he hit me up, asked me if I'd be down to do a crossover with our characters. And given that our themes are very similar of what we try to showcase as writers ourselves, trying to change the narrative of how Black spirituality is depicted in the media, I felt it was just perfect synergy to have our characters combining in some way. And he wants to find a way to have Isnana be a part of what makes Jonas who he is, without spoiling too much of the story.
Ooh, hold up.
But
For real?
Yeah, because here's one thing. I've already established that Isnana can travel between different realms.
Okay.
And in volume 2, he actually crosses over with a couple of different creators. Like, we had a little crossover with Day Black, Keith Cross, with Shauna Grant with Princess Love Pond, Micheline Hess with Malice in Otherland, Walter Osley with Shiver Bureau, and I feel like I'm definitely missing. Oh, Mike Creeby with his Bear Doc, The Wanderer. And am I missing somebody else? I think that might be Chuck Collins with Bounce. So it did like a little crossover story where Isnana was accidentally jumping through their books and being drawn in their particular style. And I think that sort of gave an opening to showcase that he could show up anywhere.
All right, that's what's up. So let me get this out the way. Shout out to Brad Arney, regular on our show. Danny J Quick in the building. Kyron, Daniel, J Man, Dark YT. What's up, man? Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Shout out to my Patreon subscribers as well, because without you, I would not have a Patreon. So shout out to Andrew Duggan, Haley Dennis, Bradley Arney, Tom Kelly, and Unlikely Hero Studios. Your Patreon update is coming hot fire this weekend. I said this week, not lying. Gonna get it to you. All that. So, all right. So that's dope, man. I love it when the creator aligns their things where it may have been hard to figure out how to start it, but once you've got it there, now you can jump to these other realms. And I think Crescent City Monsters and your book blend very well together. So hearing you talk about the excitement of making that part of his core, or what makes him who he is, or a piece of that makes my little geek alarm go off. Like, that's dope. Like, I'm into both of these titles. So like, how is this going to connect now? Like, I'm trying to put the web together and figure it out, but looking forward to that very much so.
Yeah, for the people who don't know though, because I know the Crescent City Monsters, their Kickstarter ended last night. Mm-hmm. If you have already pledged or backed off Crescent City Monster, if you haven't backed mine yet in a physical level, if you do that, you'll get pretty much a free print of both of our stories, both of our characters, drawn by Massimiliano Veltri, the artist for The Gentleman, which is a book that I've also written.
We doing too much out here. We're doing too much out here in the indie scene, man.
Not enough.
To quote Sean Mack, the budget for Kickstarter had to be extended this year, because it's like, all right, number one, gotta support, fan, loving what everybody's doing. I'm like, all right, gotta get this. Oh shoot, there go another one. All right, gotta get this. Okay, so they just launched another. All right. Stop! There's so much. You don't know where to go, man. There's just so much. You want to get all of them, like a kid in a candy store. So let's talk about this character in retrospect, what I'm drawing right now. And I know you wanted to put it out there to show that we have folklore, we have legends, we have our own gods and things that we can go to. But outside of that, which I think that's a great thing that you're doing that. Outside of that, is there anything personal in this character that, comes from you or somebody that, may have inspired you or somebody you think about? I've had a few creators on here, not to even leave myself out of there, that puts themselves in their characters or their own experiences. So do we have any of that with that in here?
Well, I feel with all my characters have a little bit of myself, even the villains or even asshole characters. I put some trait of myself, even if it's just a small little interest or trait, so on and so forth. With his Nana, I think aspects of him and his pops with Anansi is slightly similar to the way my pops and I, we go back and forth, because we're always sort of trash talking each other and challenging each other. And we're also very different from each other in terms of a lot of things. And I think a lot of that, I try to think of ways that's just that spirit of that energy when it comes to his Nana and his father. And I think you'll notice a couple of sort of black traits going back and forth between them. Because his Nana, originally, when you first see them together, he's very proper, he's very polite, he doesn't really want to talk back. But as the series goes on, you start to notice they start to butt heads. His Nana's not afraid to do the dozens with him every now and then, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome. So I'm a big fan of this Lovecraft Country journey that we're on, and one of the things that really lit me up to the series is the first episode. Number one, I'm a bitch, right? So I don't do the horror and all that stuff. But
what?
Oh man, I can't do it, brother. But I was like, I have to do it. Like, I know Ashley Woods, and I know she was one of the artists on the TV series, so I want to support her. And we don't have a lot of people of color in leading roles in high budget, triple star, triple A, cinema. So I've got to watch it and check it out and throw some support and see if it's any good. It's great. But the one reason that I fell in love with this show is because of old girl when she had to run. And I was like, I got up and said, that's real. That's how it would be. No looking back, no tripping, full tilt, knees to chest.
Yo, all the facts, bro. All the facts.
So my question in saying that is, do you have because that's relatable, because I related to her fear. And like, no, I'm not running from vampire dogs, but I've run from a Rockweller before. And I know how that is. So I can immediately relate to that experience, because I'm not going to the open door where I hear sounds. I'm not going to investigate and check that out. I'm going home and I'm calling somebody and saying it's happening. So do you have any moments like that in your book that's relatable?
I'd say, yeah, there's a couple. I have a lot of horrific moments that happen. And I feel like there's definitely some overt blackness that show up, especially in volume 2, because in volume 2, it's a black family that gets caught in the crossfire. And one thing is, no matter who it is, if you mess with the black woman and her family, there's a type of thing that happens. She gets down. So I definitely have a black mom who was inspired by my mother, who goes all out when it comes to her family. No matter who the monsters are, if her family's caught up, she's going to be the one to take care of business. So I definitely wanted to showcase a lot of that. There's also a lot of just black culture I like to incorporate with the story, even if it's jokes, even with music. At one part, you actually sort of get a hint that Anansi is a Nicki Minaj fan.
Mm-hmm.
He sort of flips one of her lyrics to fit a situation that he's going through. So I'm always trying to do something like that as well. And yeah, trust me, there's a lot of blackness in my books. Sometimes they're very subtle.
Yeah.
You find it.
And so that's the thing. So us as creators and us being men of color out here in the industry trying to, I don't think it's something that we do like with intent. I think it's just something we do because those are our experiences. That's what we live. I remember reading Excellence from Image Comics, and I fell in love with the book not at the dopeness of the art or the dope magic fight scenes or the concept of the magic. I fell in love with the book because he got his hair cut by his grandmother.
Bro.
And then when he went out in the street and an old boy was like, bruh, that fade though. Again, I immediately related to that. Or, Miles Morales in Enter the Spider-Verse when he's dapping everybody up. The way he talks, the way he walks. Or even I don't know the words to the song, so So I think we have these experiences that other people don't have, but that we put in there just because it's universal for us,
Yeah, you get a lot of that as well in the most recent Is Not a Story Showtime that I'm doing the Kickstarter for, because he interacts and meets a couple of kids of color, the youth, and so you'll get a little bit of that sort of vibe, especially with the way they speak to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's I feel like I'm gonna have a couple of people who's gonna be like, "What does that mean?" That that the characters are saying, but it's really not your culture. It's our culture growing up here in New York City and hearing it as well from our youth and so on and so forth. And even speaking of, you bringing up excellence. So I'm part of an anthology called Someday Tomorrow, I believe it's called, where it's supposed to be talking about finding a better world and what ways we can do to, reach a utopia in some sense. And in my story, there's a old woman. This takes place like way in the future. And there's this old woman who is talking about, I guess, history. And you find out that she might possibly be immortal. So she lived all these lives. And at the end, she says something that rhymes. And she says, "Ooh, bars." And, and the thing is, for me, I thought it was like, okay, just me being me. And not to get on the editors, because the editors did a wonderful job with the book, but I got a sort of follow back, sort of like, "We don't understand what this line means. Can you, I don't think it needs to be here. Can you take it out?" And it was well, I had to explain the context of this is a Black speech, Black culture type of thing. And it was like, "Oh, okay, we get it. All right." It's just like, man. I hate, but that's just what it is. I always try to incorporate a little bit of that in my writing.
And that's so funny because instantly I get that, laugh, get the joke perfectly. And with hip hop culture being as wide and fierce as it is, you would think we're thinking like, you get that, right? That's been on Saturday Night Live. That's been on In Living Color. That's been on so many different shows that, open up that door. Oh, you don't get that. That's regular verbiage for us. All right, let's see what we got going on here in the comments. Last week, I got severely distracted by the art, and I missed these comments. All right. Brad Arney saying he's excited for the crossover.
Nice.
Daniel, too many good Kickstarters this year. Absolutely right. And I can tell you from the short fuse perspective, there's more coming. Brad says, "You're killing me, Mike. I feel the same way. No investigation. Going the other way." Absolutely, man. So that's my thing. My studio's in my basement, and my family, like my wife and my kids, they go outside. They go places and stuff. I stay home and I'm working, so I'm in the basement by myself. So I hear a funny noise. I try to ignore that. I hear it again. I grab one of my swords and keep it by my side. Like, I'm not trying to play out here.
Bro, yo, there was a time years ago. This was mad years ago. I was home alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I heard some strange noise. And what I did was I went the opposite way, and I went to my kitchen and I grabbed the biggest knife I can find. I was not playing. And then I actually did sort of investigate just to see, like, yo, if someone is going to come out, something's going to happen. They're going to get stabbed or whatever. Nothing happened. Didn't see anyone. So I went back into my room. And then, no, what happened? I think at one point later on, I heard another noise. So then I left. I was like, nah, whatever this is needs to stop. And so I grabbed the knife, and all of a sudden, my brother and his girl at the time were like, "Nigga, what you doing?" I was like, I don't understand, yo. There was some shit moving around this house before y'all came in. They were like,
yeah, you can't play like that, man. That's how people get lit up.
oh man.
Oh, forgot to mention, I did just put the Kickstarter in the link. I just did it on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitch. The link to his Kickstarter. Let's get over there. Let's get him to his let's get that 450 of backer on there. Lots of good rewards on this Kickstarter, whatnot. Check this out, man.
Backer, yo, one more backers. One more. 450.
J-Man says, I think it's really cool that Black African Americans are more involved in the horror genre of writing, directing, being the main star, horror comic creators, instead of being first victim killed in a horror movie. Exactly.
So even piggybacking off of that comment, I definitely want to change that narrative, especially the way Black spirituality is represented in horror, because for the most part, what we usually see is Black spirituality being the source of the horror that's going on. You got to stop it. You got to become a Christian or all this other stuff, because everything about Black spirituality was wrong in these horror movies. And I
saw you comment on that when in the episode of Lovecraft where they use voodoo to fix the problem. And I saw your comment on Facebook where you were snapping and you was like, more of this. Yes, please. I think I had Travis Gibb on my show. He's got the a voodoo comic book that they just kicked out on Kickstarter that I had on there talking about, and he was also talking about the good aspects of it, the spiritual aspects of it or whatnot. That is a thing that's starting to turn around. And would you say the main source of that is because of the people that are now being hired to work on these films? And then that,
I say a mix of yes and probably other factors. I think if you notice within the past, maybe decade or so, a lot of people have just been wanting to get more in touch with their roots. And a lot of people, I guess when you say a lot of people getting quote unquote woke, a lot of people are just starting to find out where they come from. They're trying to find out what feels more authentic to them. I guess you could even say some of the natural movement as well is a part of that. People doing research on what countries did their family come from and so on and so forth. So I think in that sense, a lot of pride is starting to come about when it comes to a lot of Black folks and trying to reconnect with their ancestors, with their roots. So I think there's some respect in that. And now people are starting to speak up a lot more when they're starting to disrespect us. And even when it comes to the way our spirituality or our past spirituality is being showcased and represented. For example, there was when season 3 of American Horror Story, when that came about, people were excited. They're showcasing Black witches, Marie Laveau, and so on and so forth. And when they were being questioned, the writers, about how they're going to represent this, they were trying to say stuff like, oh, we're trying to be as respectful as we can. We got in touch with some voodooists, some people who's involved. And then when you actually saw the final product, it was a total slap in the face. If you actually know even if you know the basics of the spirituality, it was sort of like, why would you do that? So I think now we're starting to see a lot more better representation in that. And also, there's a lot of us that's starting to be the ones to craft these stories, because a lot of these stories were in the mainstream were always done by white people and through white eyes, and how this looks, this exotic, terrifying thing, how it looks. So at this point, I believe, a lot of us are starting to get that position where we can finally mold and craft what it actually is and show it in a more positive light.
oh, my fault, man. Don't mind me. I'm getting into it now. I'm hitting these details.
No, I feel you, bro. It's looking dope.
Thank you. All right. J-Man says Tony Todd, aka Candyman, has opened the doors and paved the way for African Americans being main character in horror. I don't watch a lot of horror, so I don't know how much I can agree with that or not. But I know Candyman is a big influence. It's a big figure in the horror genre.
Definitely a huge figure. I see Kyron has a comment as well.
Does he? Where he at?
Right under J-Man's, the first thing he
I got you. I see in the newest book, Asnani meets someone with vitiligo. Yes. What made you decide to incorporate someone with this condition?
So that was a conscious and unconscious decision in a sense, simply because I always grew up knowing someone who had vitiligo,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just never something we questioned. It was just folks who had it.
Yeah.
I think at some point you do question, like, hey, what is that? And you find out, oh, it's vitiligo, and you find out what causes the condition. But it's just what it is. They're just regular folks. There's nothing quite different about them. And in a sense, I believe I just wanted to showcase that, because we don't quite see those type of people. Those type of people. You don't quite see people with vitiligo in the media. I think the most we sometimes see is Winnie, the model from America's Next Top Model, and I think she's probably like the most well known person with vitiligo who gets jobs, who gets booked, but you don't really quite see anyone else. I definitely have come across a couple of other models, and they do amazingly well. They're amazing models, but yeah, we don't quite see that when it comes to showcasing stories or fantasy stories or TV or anything like that. So I guess I created this character. I simply thought, let me have a person like that. Hopefully, someone who's reading the book will see it and just feel as if they're represented or some way, or they're seen. And that's one thing that I try to do with all my writing when it comes to creating characters for all my stories, because I know what it's like not seeing yourself in these stories, even if it's just like a small part or a supporting cast. It just makes you feel good to see yourself sort of shown as just a regular person.
Awesome. So, piggybacking off of that, what was the flick, the TV, the book, the show, whatever, that really instituted that in you? For me, I've always felt like, I mean, once I got into comic books, I was just making stuff. I was just making stuff just to make it. Like, I had different people, diversity, races, gender, and all that stuff in my books, because that's just the life. That's just the world that I live in. Columbus is the melting pot. So I didn't really think of anything. I didn't think of it being anything different. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It was a need. I'm like, this is just what I live with. So this is what I'm gonna draw. But for me to really and then once I started making comic books, I'm like, oh no, we do need this. We need this. But then I saw Enter the Spider-Verse with Miles, and I was like, and then it absolutely woke me. It's that feeling I'm feeling right now here with my son. His name is Miles Parker Watson. We're watching a young half black, half Latino kid named Miles in the movie, wearing Jordans, dapping his friends up, being a awkward, goofy kid, and that feeling really sparked with him. I'm like, man, that is so I'm like, oh God, it is important. But when did it register for you? What made that trigger for you moment?
I think for me, so I grew up on Hercules and Xena. That was
Okay.
Hercules and Xena was my jump off. I didn't miss one episode. I would watch the reruns on the next day. I was always obsessed with that show. But I didn't realize how much race played a huge part in I guess my joy and happiness of seeing it was when Gina Torres guest starred as Nebula on Hercules. And I remember just being like, who is this awesome, badass woman? I had never seen a fantasy show where there was just this dope ass black character. And I was also, around that time, I was a huge X-Men animated fan, and Storm was dope. But I remember when Bishop showed up, I was just like, my mind was just blown. It was like, yo, this dude is dope. And I just recall every time I saw a character that showed up who was black in any type of fantasy show I was watching, it almost felt like they were a stand-in for me. Even though now in retrospect, I'm just like, why did they have to be the stand-in for me? Why couldn't you just add in more of us, so they can represent various different parts of us? But at the same time, just that was extremely important for me to see. And remembering all that, and as I got older and I started actually spending my own money to get things that I wanted to see, because I remember when they gave us freaking Homeboys in Outer Space, and that shit was awful. Even as a kid, I thought that was garbage. But I still watched it because it was black Negroes in space. I still watched it, even though I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just seeing that. So a lot of that still resonates a lot when it comes to my own work, because I remember how that felt. And it's just, there's so many people out, especially when you're in New York City, you meet so many different people and you watch these shows that's supposed to take place in New York City, and it does not reflect anything. You read these comics that's supposed to take place in New York City, and it does not reflect it whatsoever. So I'm just trying to be as authentic as I can. I know a lot of the types of people that I represent in my books, they're people that I know that I come across, and that's just pretty much what I'm trying to showcase.
Awesome, man. Spot on. All right. That's cool that we are in a time where we can showcase different people. There's a time where someone with vitiligo would have been shunned in a story. Thank you for doing that. Somebody posted a picture on Facebook of Michael Jackson with his vitiligo, like with the spots on his face. And I showed my wife, and I was like, how dope. Now, I love Michael Jackson. Do not get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love Michael Jackson. Super light skin, white skin Michael Jackson, brown skin Michael. I love them both. But how dope would it have been if Michael Jackson would have just said, damn the world, this is what it is. Like, just went out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
How dope would that have been to see that back then with that much star power?
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Definitely feeling that, absolutely. Question for Greg. Have you ever written something that actually gave you the creeps? Stephen King has said a few times he himself has been scarred by what he has written.
Have I ever? I don't know, because I've written some really messed up crap, but I don't know if they're necessarily scared me, or more so got me excited of, oh, I wonder how my artists are going to draw this, only to find out that my artists were pissed off. Like, why would you make me draw this thing? But I've always been a big horror fan in some sense since I was a kid, and I've gotten very desensitized from it. Like, I don't get grossed out. I don't really get scared like that. I sort of see jump scares coming, so they don't quite resonate the same. But I still love the stories. I still love the structure. So it's very hard for me, I feel, to scare me. I've gotten emotional writing some stuff because, just as I said, I incorporate a lot of myself in my characters, and there's a lot of moments that happens in my stories that were taken from real life. And so I've definitely written a scene where I actually got quite emotional writing. I won't say what scene it is, but I will say it's coming soon. Stronghold 133 art, edited by Jason Reeves. There's a scene that happens in one of the issues for Stronghold that happened for me, and that it was very hard for me to put that on paper. So that's the closest thing I feel like.
This is awesome. This is awesome. We getting all the tea today on the show. So be on the lookout for that. Studio 133 is out here putting out some fire as well. Kyron says, God, Homeboys in Outer Space was horrendous. LOL. Yeah, it was.
It was garbage.
He said MJ looked Puerto Rican. Looks like he saw the picture I was talking about. But in horror, we have had some black leads, some black supporting actors survive. I think LL Cool J was the first. Maybe no.
He was not the first.
Busta Rhymes was.
He was not the first.
He was not the first?
Nah. People be forgetting about Jada Pinkett Smith in that Tales from the Crypt movie. There was this one horror movie, I can never remember the name of it, but it was like a group of teenagers that go into this weird haunted house and weird shit happens. And one of the survivors was a black guy and this one white girl. They walked away feeling completely taken and depressed. There's been a lot of horror movies with the black folks. Or sometimes they have black folks in there, but they didn't get caught in the main action. They were like, nope.
Not today. I say this a lot from time to time. I really do enjoy doing this show, man, because I get to do like this. I'm having a lot of fun with this character.
This is dope. I can't wait to see you ink it, man. Yo, your inks be dope.
Hey, I'm going to say this now. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But keep that on the low. You got my editor-in-chief out here saying, Mike, ink your book. Ink Hot Shot. He all over my ass about inking the book.
Dude, speaking of Hot Shot, even though I said it in private, I'm gonna say this live. Y'all gonna hear me. Yo, so much respect to freaking Michael Watson that he's gotten this far with Hot Shot, because I'm so used, even before I started doing comics as a consumer, it was so hard to find the next issues of a comic book after the first 1 or 2 or 3 when it came to indie books. And being in the business, I get it. I get the difficulty in producing regularly. We're not backed, we're not sponsored by books from Marvel and DC, so we don't have the money. But Hot Shot has been, how many issues is Hot Shot? I feel like what, 9, 10, 12?
10 issues.
10 flipping issues with this character. It's been done, yes, but bruh, nah, man. Yo, congrats on Hot Shot, the success of Hot Shot, man.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that, especially coming from you, man, because I sit out here and I'm seeing your timeline. I see you out here working, doing great with these Kickstarters, putting out these amazing stories. So, I really respect to that. Thank you.
No doubt, man. We need the trades.
That's the next thing coming up. I got both the trades are done. I just actually just finished the graphics on them for the new for the dress for the covers, and I got the content, the extra content that's gonna go in them right now. I am working on what rewards I want to add to it or whatnot for the tiers, and we are doing some letters on a couple things for the Kickstarter. So yeah, that's the next thing coming out the house for us for FSK.
Well, let's do that. Night of the Demons. Was that the name of it? That movie? Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demons. What's up, Cameron? How you doing? Steve, thank you very much, man. Thank you. Again, we are streaming live on Twitch, Short Fuse Media Group's Facebook page, and YouTube. If you guys are liking this conversation, liking what this show's about, go ahead and give me a follow or subscribe, man. It takes 1 second, 1 minute. If you don't like it, give me a dislike button. Let's have a discussion about it. Just don't be mean. Just be honest. I can take it. I love having good conversation. We don't have to have the same idea. We don't have to think the same. I just like having a discussion where I'm heard and the other person's heard, and either we're going to agree or disagree, but we can see each other's perspectives.
Wait, what you want to disagree on?
I don't know. What you want to disagree on?
I'm trying to. What's the topic we?
Steve says he's got issues 1, 2, and 3 in Hot Shot, and they're awesome. Thank you very much, Steve. Hit shortfusemediagroup.com, Steve. Let me see. Let me give you the banner. I got so many of them. Boom. Hit that website. We got all the way up to issue. It's technically issue 9 because we have a 0 issue. So we got 10 issues. Go up there and check them out. If you buy that, there's also music, original music with Hot Shot that you get for buying the book, and some screensavers. So you're out here a lot, man. You're out here in social media. You're having epic discussions, going back and forth on things and like that. What is? Let's see if we can start some stuff.
Why?
Nothing too drastic. But what would you say in the indie community is something that you feel like needs to be worked on? And creatives in general, not anybody specific, just in general.
Yo, he trying to get me in trouble.
Hold on 1 second.
J-Man, my favorite all-time horror movie. Have you ever seen The Innocents from the 1960s? It's with Deborah Kerr. She's a governess who gets hired to to watch over these two children.
Sorry,
And
father-in-law just showed up. We're having a weenie roast tonight.
awesome. Yeah, I'm answering J-Man. He asked me what's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And there's a movie called The Innocents from the 1960s where this woman who's a governess gets hired to watch over these two kids. And there's a possibility that they might be possessed by these two ghosts that haunts the house. And we don't know if it's in her head or if it's actual ghosts. It's up to you to decide, I guess, watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that film, the book, it was based off of a book called The Turn of the Screw, and The Others was also inspired by that book as well. So there's definitely some similarities with those two movies. And I'm a huge fan of the 1930s and 40s, those horror films, especially the Valu and RKO films. So like Curse of Cat People, or Cat People, Curse of the Cat People, I Walked with the Zombie. Like those films, they were sort of the rivals of the Universal Studio monster films, because the Universal Studio monster films, they were very in your face. They had all these great effects. They had the money for it. But RKO, they were more so B movies, and they were trying to scare people by implying things and letting people's sort of imaginations be the thing that scares us, I guess you can say. So those are definitely my favorite types of horror movies. I love a lot from all different eras, but definitely Innocence from the 60s and a lot of horror films, the black and whites from the 30s and 40s are my favorites.
All right, it's time to begin these inks, man.
Yo! All right, so I
Time
guess
to
I
dig it.
gotta go into some shit speaking, some shit.
Well, we don't necessarily have to go into any shit speaking. Just like, anything you feel like that can be strengthened in the indie community. Maybe something like that you have dealt with, and then you figured out how to solve that problem. How you figured out how to move past it.
Let's see. We gotta stop the beef, bro.
We gotta stop the beat.
Beef. There's a lot of. Hey, the little one.
Did you just get this?
Yeah, but when I was trying to, it was broken apart before I opened it.
You paid money for this?
Yeah.
There you go.
And he come with the real sword.
Those are adorable.
Yo, his family's still making cameos.
He come with the sword.
Okay, I'll look at it later when I get done with the show. So you said we got to
I'm
stop
gonna
the
take that as
beat.
a sign to shut my mouth, yo.
What'd you say?
I'm gonna take that as a sign to shut my mouth, because it's been twice so far. I started talking about this and something happened. So I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
All right, then. All right, I ain't gonna push.
Nah. I will say, in terms of our work, we got to stay focused. We got to stay focused in a lot of the creativity when it comes to our books in the Black indie community, and just Black. I feel like indie community in general, because we have so many ideas, but sometimes we get so in love with having so many ideas that we tend to drop one thing that we're working on to work on something else. And then you have fans from that first book that are waiting for the next thing. So I'd say if you could find somewhere to just at least finish the first story arc of your story, just do that, honestly. And as well, hire an editor, hire different people who actually know grammar, who knows how to use freaking commas. You don't know how many books I pick up and commas are either all over the place where they're not supposed to be, or there's no commas at all where they're supposed to be. And that could, in a way, make or break you when it comes to people trying to read or maybe hire you for something more professional work and so on and so forth. So I want to say that's something to keep in mind. Don't be afraid to share your scripts with other people in the industry with you, who is very like-minded, who you get along with. Try to network, try to be cool. It doesn't help to be an asshole when it comes to being in an industry, especially a small one where everyone knows each other and knows everyone's business in some sense of the way. So I'll say that.
Now, see, that wasn't bad. That's some good feedback right there.
Yeah, I gotta make sure. Newton, ha! Yeah, I gotta make sure I don't spill some tea that I'm already drinking right now. So.
All right. Kyron, you didn't. What issues did you buy? It's kind of sporadic because I got artwork for some books, I got music for some books, so it's kind of split up. But let me know which ones you got, man. I'll get you the music. I've heard of it but never seen it. It was J-Man talking about, so obviously that was earlier. The Turn of the Screw is such a messed up book. Paige said, "Who's beefing?" Nobody's beefing, Paige. We just talking. We out here talking. We trying to flatten the curve. Gerald said, "I'm 100% sure there's a scene in a new book where Nani gets his first pair of Timbs." Hey, so he's getting Timbs in the issue?
Not yet. He does get his first. He gets his first pair of sandals and his first pair of kicks. Because Isnana always walks around barefoot. He's a spider. He doesn't quite see the point of even clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But he learns that I guess I have to wear clothes because these humans, can't deal with people being naked all the time. But he just likes to be barefoot. And so in this most recent story, Showtime, he meets these group of kids, and one of them keeps commenting on the fact of, "Yo, where is this Negro's shoes?" Like, he's literally walking around with no shoes on. And they ask him to hang out, and he also has another pair of shoes. So he's like, "Yo, it's not, if you're going to be walking with us, wear these." And so he tries on shoes and sneakers for the first time. G Boney, I got you. Tim's. He's going to be rocking Tim's in some follow-up issue. I got you.
Paige says, "When's your next issue?" The next issue is this Kickstarter, brother. That's the new book coming out.
I think he's asking Daniel there.
Oh, you think? Oh, okay. And yes, commas are very important, says Newton.
You put a comma on every flipping word, bro.
Greg, I need to get one of your issues.
Hey, I mean, an easy way to do that is my Kickstarter. Check out my Kickstarter. You can get whatever volumes or issues that you're missing for Isnana, or you can check out my web store, which is webway.com. Actually, I'm gonna post that up on the chat right now, I believe. One second. So yeah, there's my web store. I just posted. You should be able to find pretty much all my books, except for the one where he links with John Henry from the John Henry store, because we sold out of the print of that, but you can get it digitally. But you can also pre-order the print from the Kickstarter. The Showtime is not a Kickstarter right now. It's going on right now. So, Paige said, "When am I planning more crossovers?" Well, I see Newton Lilivo in the building right now in the chats. So him and I, we are doing a crossover with his book, Crescent City Monsters. Jonas will be meeting Isnana. Isnana will play a part into, I guess, why Jonas is where he's at in the recent stories in some sense. I don't want to spill the beans on what Newton got planned, but we're working on it right now. It's going to be drawn by Massimiliano Veltri, who is the artist of The Gentleman, another book that we work on together. And Mas is freaking amazing. If you already backed Crescent City Monsters in the physical form, you could do the same with Isnana. You can get a free print as well. Brad, I appreciate that. He has a Isnana t-shirt on right now.
Yeah, I gotta order mine, man, because I saw you at the show and I tried to get them, and you were sold out of my size.
My fault, bro.
No, that's a good problem to have, brother. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I was like, I'm gonna see him again at a show, so I'll get it. But then COVID happened.
Damn you, COVID.
I know, and I actually do. I was this week I've been cleaning out my computer, getting my computer organized, and so I've been coming across old photos from shows. So I'm getting convention sick, man. I miss shows. I live and breathe at comic book conventions. They are my they are my safe space.
Man, I miss mine. Since the first one closed. I was like, man, I missed this already. Since the first one was announced that it wasn't gonna happen.
Hmm.
Yo, that crap is depressing.
And it is. It is. I want us to hurry up and get to whatever new normal that is going to be, man. I need us to hurry up and get back to it because I need to go back to these shows. I miss comic book conventions severely.
Hell yeah. The fans were great. I missed the supporters, the networking, hanging out before, after the show. The hustle of it was just so much fun. That was my me time. That was always my me time. Of course, traveling to different states, like that was
Always fun.
always fun.
Now I complain about the drive every time, but now I'm like, man, I miss the drive. You don't realize it, till it's taken away from you.
Right? And woo, those inks.
So, what's the plan for Isnati? Like with Hotshot, for example, I know with the main character Hotshot, I'm doing 100 issues. It's 100 issues. I got it plotted out. I know all the big points and things, what's going to happen and whatnot. And but that's where I see it ending. At least for Mike as the Hotshot character, I don't see it going past that with him. So what are you thinking with Isnati? How far do you have it planned, or what are any big things you got going on with him that you can tell us without spoiling?
I mean, I have a lot of stories planned out, honestly. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there, but I definitely have. I don't know if I have an end goal in mind, but I definitely have a lot of stories that I've written down that's going to be happening. I say, as long as I can find more content from our cultures, the Black diaspora, from all over, there will always be an It's Not a Story happening. I won't stop until I'm gone.
I dig it. So let's get a little introspective about Isnati. What would you say is his favorite food and his favorite movie?
Well, in Showtime, he finally has sushi for the first time, and he was in love with it. He's never had sushi before. But I will say he enjoys eating flies, without a doubt. Flies is one of his favorite meals.
Okay.
Add some flies in his food, he's going to be very ecstatic, because just a sort of, I guess, not a hint at, but reference to the fact that he is a spider.
Right.
So he's a spider in a human body, so he still has a lot of his spider traits. Movie, I've yet to have him watch a movie because he's still new to our world. He's still exploring. Like, this was the first, in this story, is the first time he rides the train, the first time he tries sushi, first time he wears sneakers. Even at one point, he hangs out with the crew and he gets his first piercing. Because in volume 2, you actually see him with a piercing, and I don't think no one has quite questioned, like, whoa, where did that come from? But in this story, you finally see that where that came from. You see the fact that he decided to make his own sort of decision, in the sense that it is a coming of age story. So there's aspects of just seeing him being a kid making decisions for himself. So you'll be seeing that.
So that's cool. So your story doesn't appear to be very linear. You jump around.
Yeah, I've done that since the first volume.
Okay.
Because even the first volume, it goes right into him getting ready to fight this creature who's possessing somebody. And then the second story in the first volume is a bit of an origin story where you see what happens before. And so throughout each sort of release that I've had with this Nana, there's been some back and forth when it comes to time-wise. Because the way I sort of see it, I like to write for whatever excites me.
Mm-hmm.
I never try to write completely linear because I get a little bored even when I'm structuring my story. I know a lot of people who start from the beginning and they want to get to the end, or they get stuck and they're like, oh, I can't pass this part. I can't get to this part until I finish this. And for me, I just write completely out of order, and then I'll piece it together as a puzzle to find out the right structure and what makes sense to, take place. And in a sense, that's what I do with Isnana. And with the Showtime story, it takes place between 1 and 2. But in actuality, I wanted it to come out before 2, but there was a lot of setbacks that I was coming across. So it had to come out, I guess, finally, 3 years later, which is sort of funny. Well, not funny. It's unfortunate that the scene where he deals with police brutality, it resonates with what's been going on crazy this year. And I've had people asking me about that, and it's just like, yo, don't you think it sucks that I wrote this scene? I wrote this thing like 3 years ago, and it's finally coming out, and now it's crazy with all the crap that's going on now. But
Dude,
yeah.
that is crazy because I really thought that was an addition because of what's happening.
Nope, I wrote this script years ago. Years ago, and so it's unfortunate that this is still happening. It's still something that's resonating, and a lot of it that got inspired from my students, because I have former students who were unfortunately victims of some form of police brutality or police discrimination. Stop and frisk was a huge thing here in the city. And that's something that a lot of my students had to deal with. Unfortunately, just being the black youth walking down the street, getting ready to come to my art program. And this reflects a little bit of some of the stuff that they've gone through.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, so Danny Cooper, the editor-in-chief of FSK, came up with a really cool story for us to do with Hot Shot and dealing with Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. But I'm knee deep in 10, 11, 12, 13. It's a 4-part story where I'm dealing with spousal abuse in that issue and those issues. And so we're going to be looking at that, like how it affected Hotshot as a kid, seeing his mom get beat, and how that affects him now as a hero or whatnot. And I was like, man, this is really good. I want to do this story. So we're going to do it immediately after this. And, one of the questions that came with Danny was like, do you think it'll still be relevant? Because, it's a hot topic right now. It's a hot topic now. I'm like, yeah. And we both agreed that it would be. It doesn't matter because we're not doing it because of, we're not doing it trying to jump on the train. We're doing it because we want to tell that story and, help open up eyes and make, so it works in any time or format. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to jump on that mug right now. I do, because it's awesome. It involves some play with the costume and stuff that we want to do. But being patient as a creative to let that sit there, work on the current project, like you were saying earlier, finish the arc that you're on now, and then jump off to that new thing. How hard is that for you?
Not that hard.
Yeah.
I try to stay as focused as I can in whatever it is that I'm doing. I have to get it out, so it'll be out. I will say I did get stuck in one sense of this film that I had to put on the back burner, but I got about 90% done. And I had a lot of my actors and people who worked on it asking me constantly, when is it coming out? It's been mad years now, and I got caught up with this comic stuff. So I'm a hypocrite in that sense. But okay. When it comes to my writing and comic work, I try my best to just stick to finishing this arc. For example, when I was doing Volume 1 for Isnana, I wanted it to be a complete story because I knew me as a fan, I would always be slightly, not disappointed, but I wanted to see a story arc end. And so, which is why I wanted the first story to at least be, a complete story. Same with Volume 2. That way people can see, I could get a full story without having to wait a long time.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why it also gained some popularity. But yeah, for the most part, I just try to stay focused. If I feel I want to tell this story right now, I want to get it out. Hopefully I can find an artist in time that can help me produce it when I need it to come out. And I feel a lot of these topics will always be relevant in some sense. This hot topic of police brutality, we've been dealing with this forever. Since, come on, going back into the freaking time of slavery, we had to deal with overseers treating us a particular way, and then when we got our freedom, then a lot of these overseers end up becoming cops, becoming police, and a lot of the police force stem from the slave patrols. So we've always been dealing with it. It's always going to be a hot topic. Spousal abuse. We come on, man. That's like from beginning of time when it comes to relationships, and not even just heterosexual relationships. You have a lot of even queer relationships where that's an issue. Yeah, so
Right.
that's no matter what. Those are topics that will always be relevant. Telling these stories you'll always find somebody who wants to see these stories because they may be dealing with it and makes them feel less alone, and it gives them strength to keep going on. So if you got to write it, just write it.
Definitely feel all that. And agreed. So I'm trying to use it as fuel right now for me to get this because the story's already written for my 4 issues. I already have it written. I'm halfway done with Hot Shot number 10 on the pencils and inks right now. So I'm just trying to use it to truck through so I can get to it.
Dope.
All right. So right now, let me hit the refresher button on this real quick. I want to see. Nope, you still need one more to hit that 450. We're still trying to get that 450.
Yo, who has not backed this damn Kickstarter, bro? There's a couple of y'all in here. I'm itching right now. I'm fiending. I'm on crack right now. Y'all just give me one more backer for 150.
Hey, $1 does not hurt. I'm trying to tell you. I say this on my show all the time. You can do 3 things with a Kickstarter. Obviously, you can donate and pledge to the reward tier that you want, or you can donate $1. If 1 million people donated $1 each, that's $1 million. We're not saying no to that at all. And you can share it. If you don't have any money, times are hard. I get that. I understand that. I've been there. I know. Share the Kickstarter. Sharing is just as important as donating. But we can get, a donation, get him up to this 450 for the end of the show. I'm moving on these inks, and once I hit these clothes, it's going to move fast because these are just wrinkles. Let's get it before we leave.
I do want to give you some context. His clothes is actually made from the webs that seep out of his skin.
What?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't catch that, but you notice it. There's a couple of times where when he doesn't have his clothes on, but you'll slowly see it growing around his body, and they're actually from the silk of the webs that seep out of him.
Actually, I noticed it, but I didn't. And one of the references that you sent me, I was like, oh, so he's just going to melt through the tears, huh? I guess the artist just wanted to get it done. But now that you say that, like, oh, okay. But not to knock that artist, but I've been there too. You just get to a certain point of it, like, man, I'm just trying to get this mess done. I need to get to the next page.
Yo, Daniel, thank you, bro. 450.
450? Oh, we hit it. 450.
Thank you, Daniel.
That's what's up, Daniel. Thank you so much. So now you have 450 backers. That doesn't mean stop, though, people. Let's keep it going. But I definitely want to hit that goal for him before we got off today. So what is your favorite reward on this Kickstarter currently right now, Greg?
Man, there's so many. I'm very, very excited about the Osibo the Leopard pop toy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of people had voted that they wanted to see that. That's one thing that I don't own myself yet, so I can't wait to own that. I think it would be cool to have for people to have the signed copy of Showtime from every single creator that's involved. That's Miguel Blanco, who does an amazing flipping job on the artwork. With the line work, I wanted somebody who's from New York who understands the culture. He incorporates a lot of that in this particular book, as well as Angel Davis Cooper, who's an amazing colorist. Deron Bennett, who is freaking letterer extraordinaire, who gets nominated for like almost every damn thing that he does.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, man. I mean, not gonna say nothing, but yeah. But
let's hit that for a second. How does that feel? I believe, I don't know if it was the first year you got nominated, but I remember being there in person, and Greg's name became a broken record on the announcer's mouth. It was, and for this category, Greg, and this category, Greg, and this Greg. How does that feel for you? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When it appears that you haven't won anything specifically to that degree for this book.
Well, at that time, so I did, for volume 1, I did submit to the glyphs, and I didn't get nothing. And I remember thinking, damn, not even best cover. I didn't get a nomination for best cover. But I was just like, you know what? It's my time will come. I'm not going to stress it. And when I did the next year, with the second volume coming out, we released a sort of like a first issue for volume 2. And I sent that out, and I thought it was dope when I was getting those nominations, you know, and it was definitely like this dream come true in a sense, because I've been following the Glyph Awards forever, even before I got into comics.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always, to me, I was like, I want to get a Glyph Award. So when I got nominated, that was flipping dope. And I think the first nomination, I don't know if it was the fan award. Like I mean, Jason Reese and I were going back and forth trying to get votes. So
I remember that was fun.
When I eventually got most of the votes, I was like, okay, at least I get one. I just want one. That's it. I don't need any other. But when they called me for the Rising Star, I swear to you, I did not see that coming. Mm-hmm. And my brother was recording me, and I was just like, why are you recording me? And my brother was recording me, waiting for the nominations, that he literally captured me saying, what the fuck? When they said my name. So that was pretty dope, man. That was pretty exciting.
Made it worth it.
Heck yeah, man. And the next year was when we finally released all of volume 2, and we got Story of the Year for that, and that was a huge shock for me. I was actually with TJ Sterling. We were having dinner after a con that we had. I can't remember the name of the con. It was in Detroit, Michigan. But we were having dinner, and I was getting texts telling me congratulations, you won. And I was just like, what are y'all talking about? And then that's when I saw that I got those awards, and I was like, yo. And we were lit. We were drinking and everything in celebration.
That is great, man. That's an awesome feeling. Those are good things. And it sounds like, worth the venture. All the work that you put in, especially to, not get nominated and, submit the year previously and then the next year clean house. Not that you want to put it out there, but, justification.
No, you're a fool, bro.
So, outside of your own things that you're working on, of course, are there any other projects that you got in the basket that you're working on with other creators?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, the book with Jason Reeves for 133 Art is called Stronghold. It follows a black man with albinism, a biracial black man with albinism, who is like the strong guy of his team from One Nation. And Jason hit me up years ago when he wanted to develop some of his various characters and get different writers sort of fleshing out their backstories. And he asked me if I would be down to flesh out Stronghold. And so we've been working on that for, I guess, the past year now. We have Antonello Cosentino, who is doing amazing with the artwork. That's supposed to be coming out on Kickstarter very soon. We had to push back the date because I was doing Isnana. So that's coming out. What else? I'm working on a project with TJ Sterling, which is very trippy. I think we talked a little bit about it on our Facebook Live, but it's like this weird sort of adventure sex comedy type story. It's very hard to describe exactly what it is, but it's a lot of funky crap in it.
Okay.
I can't wait for us to finally announce that. And the artist is man, somebody that I loved for years. So having that artist on board was just something that got me hype. Couple of different anthologies I'm a part of, and I have a project with Quinn McGowan that we worked on. Like I feel like it's been over a year, but we just haven't released it yet. And I feel like some of that is partly my fault because I'm just always involved in something. But it's practically done. I think we just need to get the letters finished and finally launch it at some point. But it's sort of like this weird sort of Twilight Zone type of thing where hopefully we might make it a regular thing where there's one story done by me, one story done by him. He does the art for all of it. And it's just sort of playing around with some weird sci-fi type of situation, sometimes messing with timelines and history and so on and so forth.
Dang, so basically a bunch of shit I gotta get.
Everything. just give me all your money, bro.
I feel it.
I'm digging the black fingernails. I think I'm gonna adapt that.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I don't know. I felt like it was kind of appropriate.
That's because literally that's crap that I do, and my mom hates to see it. She thinks it's the devil when I do it. So I gotta. It's cool. It's not with some black fingernails. I'll be like, hey, if I can't do it around you, my character will.
You gotta meet me in the middle.
Yeah.
So we're having what's that? Okay, no, that's fine. That's his eye. I need to add some shadow right there. Separate it. There we go. Yeah, there's and drawing this character, man, there's just a lot of fun things that just come to mind.
Thank you.
So lots of possibilities here.
I do wonder how many people who've drawn this character hates me because I know a lot of people hate drawing feet, and and a lot of people have to deal with hands. And given that sometimes his Nana grows multiple hands and arms, so on top of them possibly being arachnophobic, they got to deal with all the spiders that surround him as well.
Right. I've actually started and this has come up on the show a couple times. I know a lot of artists find hand drawing annoying. I love it. That's something I didn't realize was like a thing for the art community. Drawing hands being hard. I just love drawing hands.
Hands suck.
But I've been forcing myself to draw more feet. Like I look for, figure drawings and stuff like I do, models and stuff I can draw, and I make sure to make sure they got like some dope feet in there, like posing wise or whatever, to force myself to work on them. And it's something I'm definitely still trying to work on, but I never get bothered by that kind of thing or whatnot. I always look at it like, man, there's a lot of people out here that's dope as hell, and I'm trying to get on their level. So, and this is what it takes to get there.
I'm trying to get on them. I think you're there, bro.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you there. So y'all heard it here first. If y'all looking for letterers, you got my boy here, Michael Watson. I mean, not letterers, inkers. Amazing inker. He's looking for work, ink work. Hit him up.
You about to have me in the doghouse with Danny Cooper.
Oh man!
I thought you ain't coming here to start no trouble, man.
What you mean, man? What you mean, man? You got me on board. I'm gonna say something.
I feel it. It's to be expected. But so, any new projects, like new characters that may be introduced in this? Any? Are you? I mean, it may be kind of a silly question, but are you pushing further into the lore?
Yes. So one of my plans for Isnana is every Isnana story I want to try to introduce, or at least just showcase, at least one different figure from Black folklore, mythology, spirituality, whatever it is. For Showtime, even though majority of the book is Nana spending time with these youth in New York City and breakdancing and understanding the way the culture works and so on and so forth, you see him fighting an impudulu, which is a creature called the lightning bird from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like this weird vampiric type of creature that hypnotizes women and tries to use them as prey to eat them and so on and so forth. And Isnana has a very crazy ass fight scene with that creature. And so it's just essentially something that I want to do because I want these figures to hopefully inspire people to check out who some of these figures are, to do some research on them. Because one thing that I don't like to spoon feed people information when it comes to my work. I like people to hopefully get inspired and seek information on their own, or try to understand some of the subtlety or maybe subtext that I try to lay out. So
Okay.
I do that a lot with a lot of my characters. Sometimes I'll just introduce them and have them get into whatever problems that's going on. But hopefully I did enough of a good job for people to, when they finish the book and they say, I wonder where this character came from. Let me do some research. And I've been told that a lot of people have done that as well after reading. So yeah, we have the Impudulu. The next is not a story I'm going to be doing that's not tied to Showtime because I'm trying to reach the stretch goal. Hopefully we'll get a free downloadable story that George Gant, who does Beware of Toddler, he's going to be drawing. But outside of that, the next is not a story is actually going to be called Drums of Ogun, where he'll be meeting Ogun, who's the god of war in the Haitian voodoo tradition, as well as Orisha. And it's going to be freaking brutal. It's going to be a brutal ass book. Isnana's going to get his ass handed to him. It's going to be drawn by Sean Hill, who is a freaking beast, who doesn't know how to not put any details in his work.
He said no, not to.
He does not know how. Like, he would send me pages. I'm like, bruh, I didn't ask for this, but keep going because this shit is fire. But yeah, man, I love working with Sean Hill. This guy is amazing.
All right, so just basically plenty to look forward to from your camp.
Try, man. We gotta hustle. I got stories to come out that needs to come out. This is awesome, bro.
Thank you. This character's fun as hell to draw. Shit.
I'll remember you saying that when I'm looking for an artist for a particular story.
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm disappointed with myself that I haven't drawn him before this. Because this was definitely fun. It takes me a minute to kind of work out a pose that I'm doing for the show or whatnot. But this one, it just poured out of me. It was like really easy. But then I also really enjoy drawing Spider-Man. You know, that's my homie right there. So adding some aspects of that to this was fun.
Yo, have you seen the preview for the next Spider-Man game?
Yes. I like it and then I don't at the same time.
What don't you like about it?
The reason I don't like it is because it's in layman's terms, it's a trace over of the PS4 version. It's not a true PS5 game. But
really?
yeah, it still looks good, but it's like a remastered edition for the PS5. So they're still using the framework and the base and core of the PlayStation 4 version of the game to make the Miles Morales one. So I kind of feel cheated. Like, why can't my man get a full PlayStation 5 version? Like, why can't he get all the glitz and the glam? And it's not going to be as big as the Spider-Man 4 game. I put like massive hours into that game with Peter Parker. Loved it. Don't get me wrong. So I'm expecting to do this. I want to do the same thing with Miles Morales. Like, give me the same amount of content with him as well, because he's just as good. But I get those negatives out the way. It do look good. Somebody, when they said that Asnani had on Tim's or got his first pair of Tim's, somebody on Twitter pointed out, this boy Miles just walked out here with Tim's on.
And his hairline fresh.
So I am excited for it. I'm hoping I'll get to play it. I got 4 kids, so PlayStation 5 ain't in my future. So I'm just gonna sit back and hope they bring out a PS4 version of it, or I'm going over to somebody's house to play it for a few hours.
I think they are. Are they coming out with the PS4? I think they are.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'd be dumb not to, but Let's see how we doing here. Putting the finishing touches on this bad boy. So, how about this? Is there anything that you've had with Asnani that you thought was like this really dope idea, but then as you dove into it, you said, nah, I'm going to get rid of that? Anything been left on the cutting room floor, rather?
Damn, that's hard to even. Well, I will say originally, Asnani was supposed to be an adult.
Okay.
He was supposed to be an adult. And what changed? Yeah, it was not only was it supposed to be an adult, it was supposed to be a more mature type of book. There was going to be a lot of crazy crap that was going to happen. And what changed that was when I posted a couple of previews and ideas of this character, and it started going around, and someone posted somewhere, I think it could have been in a group, who said, this is amazing. I can't wait for this to come out. I grew up with the Anansi stories, and this is something I would love to share with my son. And I was like, oh, snap. I didn't even think about that. Especially in the fact that I had Walter, who was doing the art, and he has a very I want to say cartoony, but yeah, he dabbles in like a lot of, cartoony, stylized type of artwork. And so I can see it appealing to a lot of children. Mm-hmm. So from there, I hit him up. I was like, yo, I think I might want to make him younger. So, let's maybe make him sort of like a teenager or something. And that idea started coming around, and I changed. Yeah, I guess I made him more accessible to younger readers. And so I've had a lot of parents who what
the Hey, Greg, I'm sorry I messed up. I was trying to give you the highlight.
You cut me out, bro.
My fault, man.
You
there we go.
Y'all saw he kicked me out of his damn show.
My fault, man. Go ahead.
Nah, but
like
it's been cool. It's been cool just seeing a lot of parents read it with their children.
I was like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
So yeah,
it's okay. I'm almost done though. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I just clicked on a button I didn't know I had, so that's what that was. Because you were telling the story, so I was trying to give you the highlight. So I never noticed it, but I got a solo button on the screen that will just push you up there, but keep me in the background. So my apologies, sir.
Yo, Danny J, you see what he did, bro? Mad disrespect, son. It's because I'm black, son.
Dang, son, no. I'm darker than you, yo.
Yo, Danny J, what's up, bro?
Racism, dang. Thank you, Newton. I just saw your comment, man. I'm trying to make it fire. A lot of nobody's picked up yet that I sort of use this show as my application for other people's books. Y'all looking for somebody? You like how I draw your character?
You like the way I ink? Yeah, you see?
Trying to get it in. So, last question before we wrap up here, man. How has the COVID situation affected you? How have you been able to work through it?
I mean, aside from it messing up my flow when it comes to conventions and vending and so on and so forth, I've actually been OD productive. I've had a lot of work done, especially because I don't have to travel like that anymore. In sense of, so that saved me a lot of money for work. And you'd be surprised how much money I was spending for work and so on. So I've been able to use a lot of that to help with the progress of the production for a lot of my comics. So in terms of my projects of comics, I've been doing very well. I go out to the park to just exercise, to, get my head in the game and not go crazy. This is dope. I love this. Thank you.
No, thank you. So we're doing the classic replay of the piece coming together. Greg, let everybody know where they can find you out on social media and stuff. Of course, the Kickstarter and everything.
Yeah. Go to Google, type in "Is Nana the Were-Spider Showtime?" It should show up. It should be the first link that you see. You'll be able to get any of the previous books. If you've missed any, you can just get the book by itself. You can get prints. You can get T-shirts. You can get all types of dope goodies, pop toys, trading cards with history, information of different characters from Black folklore, mythology, spirituality, so on and so forth. You go to my website, webwaycomics.com/ECWID. No, webway.ecwid.com. You'll find a lot of my books there, all the merchandises, it's not a stuff. Twitter, Greg ANDELYSEE on Twitter, Greg Day DAE on IG. If you want to find me on Instagram, on Facebook, Greg A Elysee. If you want to, I don't really care.
It's whatever.
I'll be posting some ratchet shit sometimes, so it's up to you if you want to see that.
All right. Well, I want to thank Greg for coming on to the show, bringing his characters, Anansi the Were-Spider, and wishing him luck, continued success on his Kickstarter. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This is the piece. I'll be giving this to Greg. I'll send you the link where he can download it. You can do whatever you want with it, sir. It's yours to have. And as for me, if you guys enjoyed this show, there's this little thing up here. Oh, no, it's my social media. Go ahead and check me out. Most Epic Art at Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. Again, if you don't like it, just hit the dislike button. Let's talk about it. I like having these discussions. Just, come with some actual feedback, man. It ain't just I hate it to hate it. But thank you for tuning in. It was a great episode. We'll be back next week with some more guests to close out our September, which our September has a crazy guest list. Thank you again, Greg, for being on here, man. Go check out that Kickstarter. I put the link in the comments. So remember, my thing is you can share it. That's absolutely free. Share it to your audience, to your people, because they may like this. This may be a book right up their alley. You may not necessarily be in the comic books, but your friends will. Maybe. And that's what we want, man. We need your help to spread the word about our book. So sharing is absolutely free. If money's tight, give us $1. Literally, that is what happened today. We got $1 and he got 450 backers. So
I got $1, bro.
Hey, we takes it all. We as creatives, we need help making these books happen. They are expensive and we appreciate and thank you for your support. But then there's, of course, if you see something on your like, go ahead and back it, get it, support it, and then share it. Share, pledge, advocate, man. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. This is a great episode, and I will catch you guys on the flip later.